What is going on, people? It's your boy Dollar Mike back at again with another video, another inflation video, and a quick video for you guys. We're just talking about the inflation and how to combat it in 2023. If you guys didn't know, the inflation numbers have just released yesterday, and they are just as expected. We were expecting about a 6.5% inflation for December of 2022, and we got just that, 6.5%. So if you guys don't know what inflation is, you guys want me to break it down, explain it, give you some options on how you can save some money going forward in 2023 and beyond, because the overall inflation for 2022 was about 8%. So still very high inflation that we're experiencing right now. You can literally go outside and try to go buy some eggs. That's the big thing right now, are eggs. So if you want to go grab some eggs, they're pretty expensive, just like almost everything else still to this day. Regardless, we're going to get into it, figure out ways you can combat inflation in today's video, and there's a couple options for you. There's things out here we can do, so let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right into those things that we can do. Let's go. You can do more research as you please, but simply put, the higher the inflation, the less our money is worth overall. With the higher the inflation rate or percentage of inflation, the less our money is worth. So say for instance, last year you could go out and buy a carton of eggs, I don't know, let's say for $2. This year you might be spending $7 for that same carton of eggs. So that means you have less purchasing power this year than you did last year, and that's because of higher inflation. Now, it doesn't just happen with food, it happens with everything, or typically everything that we're experiencing in a day-to-day life. So typically you're spending more money on the same products that you could get last year for cheaper, and that's exactly how inflation works. So the higher the inflation, the less your overall money is worth. So you want to find ways to combat inflation and hope inflation will come back down in the long term, as it seems to be doing over pretty much the past year or so. So it's slowly coming back down. I think the high was around June or July of last year, around I think 8.1 or 8.2%, and now we're sitting at about 6.5%. So we'll see how things play out in 2023, but how can you actually combat it? I'm going to talk about 4 different ways that you can combat it in today's video, and let's start with the first one, because I'm not going to waste your time here. The first one is going ahead and saving it, but not saving it in any general savings accounts. Savings accounts are great. You can get a high yield savings account right now with like Ally and some other banks for about, so I would say 3, maybe 4% APY every single year, which is great. But another better option is to go ahead and put that money into iBonds. With iBonds, right now, you're going to get a little bit over a 6% interest rate on your money. So a 6% return on your money through iBonds, which is the treasury of the United States government, and that is guaranteed money. That is a guaranteed return no matter what happens. So I'll take it. But there are some stipulations when it comes to iBonds, and I talked about this in a separate video, in my iBonds video, where you can go ahead and buy those. So make sure to check that video out, but I'll go ahead and mention it right here in today's video just real quick. As I mentioned before, the guaranteed rate for iBonds right now is about 6.89%. That means you're going to get a guaranteed 6.89% on your money when you go ahead and buy some iBonds. You can only buy about $10,000 in iBonds every single year, and you can only buy iBonds pretty much from one single place, and that is the U.S. Treasury. And you can go on treasurydirect.gov and go ahead and purchase your iBonds. I purchased my iBonds indirectly. I use a platform known as Yada Savings. It's one of my favorite savings accounts, and you can also buy iBonds on there. There aren't any differences. Simply when you buy iBonds on Yada, which is super easy to do, only a couple of clicks, they pretty much buy treasury bonds from treasurydirect.gov on your behalf. So they're doing the exact same thing you could do. Personally, up to you. I have the app. I think it's just super smooth and super easy to use the app versus trying to navigate the treasurydirect.gov website. So I go that route, but you can do whatever you want. It's completely up to you. You cannot sell them for a minimum of 1 single year. So that means if you buy iBonds, you want to buy $10,000 worth of iBonds, the yearly maximum, unless you do some special things to get even more of them, which we can check out in a later date, then you pretty much have to lock it up for at least a year. So if you need that money for a year, you're not going to get it. You can't touch it. You can't withdraw. It's not an option. Past that, if you keep them saved in that same iBonds account for a minimum of 5 years, then you'll get all the interest that you're supposed to get for the iBonds guaranteed. But if you withdraw anytime after that initial 1 year, then you'll lose the last 3 months of interest when it comes to your iBond. So that's pretty much it when it comes to iBonds. It's still a nice little thing that you can do. I think it's a way to go ahead and get some guaranteed income. If you can, stomach not having to touch that money for a single year, is that put. But, it's guaranteed 6.89% right now. It'll casually lower, or I guess casually. I don't know if that's the right word, but it'll lower over time depending on what's going on in the world, the inflation rate, the Federal Reserve, all that kind of stuff. But right now, the guaranteed rate is 6.89%. So go ahead and lock that in if you can do so. The second way to combat inflation in 2023 is one of my favorite ways to go ahead and spend my money, and that's with these right here. That's with credit cards. Credit cards are goated only if you use them the right way, but we'll get into that. Credit cards is a great way to combat inflation because you get cash back from credit cards. But let me explain all this. If you're good with credit cards and overall just managing your finances properly, then this definitely may be an option for you. Right here, I have my X1 credit card. This is one of, I think, 11 credit cards that I have right now, and this credit card earns me 4% cash back on every single purchase I make with this card, temporarily right now, but overall I've been getting 4% cash back for about a year now on every single purchase. And with the current inflation rate right now at about 6.5%, me getting 4% cash back on every single purchase I make with this card, that pretty much means my personal inflation rate is only about 2.5% compared to everybody else that's not getting 4% cash back on their purchases. And that's just simple. When you go out, if you go use your debit card, if you go and buy some eggs, because that's the trend right now. So if you go buy some eggs, you're paying about a 6.5% inflation rate on those eggs. Me personally, I'm paying about a 2.5% inflation rate on the same eggs that you just bought, simply because I'm getting money back every single time I make a purchase. It is that simple. Now, this isn't the only credit card that will give you cash back. This is just one of my favorites right now. And I'll also have another updated video coming very soon to you where I talk about my favorite credit cards for 2023. And like I said, this is one of the favorites, so it'll definitely be on the list. So if you want to sign up, the link will be down below for that. The point is, credit cards, if you use them properly, by properly I mean whatever you put on these credit cards, you pay off in full every single month. If you use them like that and you get the cash back, and you use the cash back for whatever you want to use the cash back for, then you'll be good to go, and you overall would effectively have a less, or a lower, I guess you could say, personal inflation rate compared to everybody else that's not using a credit card or another cash back like strategy. So personally, up to you. Like I said, I do not recommend this at all to anybody that's not going to pay the credit card off in full every single month, because the thing is, credit cards have interest rates. So if you don't pay it off in full every single month, you have to pay extra money on the interest. And you're already paying extra money in inflation. You don't want to have to pay an extra money on interest as well. That's too much. It's too much. It's not worth it at all. For all that, just use a debit card or cash. So only use if you can pay off in full every single month. I cannot stress that enough. And I've talked about plenty of credit card stuff on the channel, and I'll have a playlist linked right up there going over all my credit card videos if you're interested. So that's pretty much it, and that is the second tip. Now, some people may agree with me or may disagree with me when it comes to the next tip on the list today. And the next tip, or the third tip, is stocks. And I say stocks in particular, I say pretty much investing into the stock market. You may disagree with me because last year the stock market was down about 20%, and we also have no guaranteed truth of what will happen this year in the stock market. Will we drop by another 20%? Hey, it's possible. I have no idea. Nobody else has any idea. But what I'm going to say with stocks is just simply be invested. Right now, the market is up, I believe, around 4 or 5% for the year, which is great. Of course, we'll have to wait and see. It's only January, and we're not even done with January yet. But the point still stands. Being invested into the stock market, especially in the long term, will always plan out in the sense of a 20-year yield on the stock market. You'll always make money given any 20-year period in the stock market. Well, on top of that, historically, the stock market has performed very well against inflation over a long-term process. I'm not talking about 1 or 2 years. I'm talking about 5, 10, 15, or 20 years. So overall, it pays to just be invested in the market because we have no idea what's going to happen going forward. And I overall made a video talking about what to invest in earlier this year. So definitely check out that video. It'll be linked right up there. But if you want the gist, the best thing for you to do as an average person is to simply invest in the entire market. By investing into the entire market, you're getting exposure across multiple different assets, across multiple different companies, across multiple different industries. You don't have to do any of the legwork trying to figure out which companies are the best for you. You can simply invest into the whole market at one time. That's all you need to do. Put some money into that. I don't care how much money, it doesn't matter. I talk about all this in that video. Put some money into it on a monthly, weekly, or daily basis and simply sit back and relax. It's very boring, and that's exactly how it should be. That's pretty much it. There is absolutely no reason for you to try and consistently time the market. I'm not trying to time the market. You may win sometimes, you may lose a lot more other times. That all comes down to luck and what's just happening, and we can't control what happens in the future. We have no control over it. So the best thing to do is just be invested for the times where it's going to rise back up, and then also be invested for the times where it's going down, and overall add some more money when it's going down, because we know it's going to come back up in the long term. Its history has shown it to be. It may be wrong in the future, but I'll take my chances and go ahead and be invested in the market versus not being invested and beating myself up over it. So do what you got to do. Check that video out. It'll give you more of a deep dive on what I'm talking about. But overall, just be invested. With the last or fourth tip I want to talk about today to go ahead and combat inflation in 2023 is investing into some real assets. And by real assets, I mean real assets. That means luxury watches possibly, that means buying machinery possibly, or overall investing into something known as real estate. So overall investing into the world when it comes to businesses, when it comes to homes, something like that. And you may say, well, Mike, I don't have the money to really invest into luxury watches, machinery, and real estate, because those things are asset classes where they're pretty expensive. I mean, luxury watches might run you anywhere between $4,000 to, I don't know, $100,000. Real estate can run you anywhere between $20,000 maybe to, well, I guess anywhere between $10,000 all the way up to millions of dollars. And then machinery, honestly, I don't know what type of machinery I would personally invest into, but it is a market to be invested into. Regardless, when I talk about real estate, I'm talking about a platform known as Fundrise, and that's how I personally invest into real estate. I have a couple of real estate stocks on the stock market, but the problem with those is that they're on the stock market. So whatever happens to the general overall market probably is going to happen to the real estate stock that I'm invested into. So if the market goes up, the real estate stock probably will go up. If the market goes down, the real estate stock probably will go down. When you invest into a platform known as Fundrise, which I invest into, and I also made a full-blown video going over all the details. And when you invest into a platform like that, you're investing into real estate that's not connected to the stock market by any means. So you can go ahead and still make money when the stock market is going down, or when crypto is going down, or another asset class is going down. Real estate may be going up. And over the past couple of years, it's done just that. So like I said, jump into Fundrise. I have a link down below for Fundrise as well if you want to sign up. I think you'll get a free $50 to invest into your account by any means, or I guess by all means. You do not have to use any of my links down below, but you do get a free kickback when you use some of my links down below. So it's greatly appreciated if you do that, and I get a small kickback as well, just for transparency's sake. But regardless, the Fundrise platform will allow you to invest into commercial real estate, industrial real estate, and also residential real estate to overall build out your portfolio for the long term and get you that exposure to real estate without you having to go out of your way to put a down payment on a house, to do all the paperwork, to find a lender, all this kind of stuff. They do all that for you. You simply provide the money to them, and you can choose the portfolio that fits best for you. The more money that you have in Fundrise, the more control you have over exactly what you want to invest into. Right now, I have about, I think, almost $2,000 invested, and I plan to invest $250 at a bare minimum every single month into Fundrise this year. Like I said, I made a video talking all about this. The link will be right up there, and it'll explain all you need to know. But real estate as an investment is also a great hedge against inflation, because it's another way to diversify your money for the long term. And typically speaking, real estate has performed pretty well over the long term, given its long track record. I mean, we've been buying and selling land since almost the beginning of time, or I guess the beginning of humans, I guess you could say. So yeah, you can't really go wrong with real estate. It's one of the best asset classes, and it's a reason why a lot of millionaires and billionaires own a lot of different properties. It's something that's just not really going to go away, and we typically just need for the long term. So I would definitely get invested into real estate if you can. And if you can get started for a little bit of money using a platform like Fundrise, then that's probably one of the best bets that you can make for yourself, especially in 2023. Come on, we're trying to make money this year. We're trying to diversify. We're not trying to lose money and have to sit back and reset yet another year. We don't want to do that. So let's get started today. Regardless, that's all I got for today's video. Those are 4 different tips. That's iBonds. So overall, a guaranteed return on your money, about 6.9%. We got some real estate in here to overall diversify your portfolio and invest into real assets that are not connected to the stock market. We have the stock market where you can go ahead and invest into stocks. For the long term, you'll be just fine. For the short term, we'll have to wait and see. I think you'll be okay. And then the last one on the list, the fourth one, is credit cards. Credit cards will give you pretty much cash back depending on what credit cards you decide to choose. But like I said, I made a video on X1 and other credit cards, so check it out to find out which cash back options may be best for you. That'll overall give you a hedge against inflation and overall decrease your overall personal inflation. So you're paying 2.5%, maybe 1%, and everybody else is paying 6.5%. I'm just saying, take some of these tips, do some more research to find out if you want to learn more information, and that's pretty much it. Check out some of the videos on the channel. I've talked about all these topics before. I have playlists on all these topics. I've made videos in the past about these topics. I'm gonna make more videos in the future talking about them. So we got a lot of content coming, and that's pretty much it. So hopefully you guys take care, you guys stay hydrated, stay well, you get your money up in 2023, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. I'm out. Take care of yourselves, stay safe, stay positive, stay hydrated. Dollar Mike. Peace.